Well, 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 I'm here again looking at another drawer of pens that I haven't really paid attention to in a long while. So let's see how they work. If I can make this work so you can see. These are early hard rubber pens of some sort or other. And I honestly don't remember or know what they might be. I brought the wrong drawer. I thought I brought a different drawer down, but I brought this one instead. This is well, where's my loop? It has writing on it. And let's see what it says. 10-year guaranteed pen company. Well, that just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Ansonia, Connecticut, 1905. The 10-year guarantee pen company. Well, it's been 110 years plus another decade or so. This is a sleeve filler. You pull this back and you press down to smush the sack, but the sack is hard, as you can hear. There it is. There's the sack. Sir, would you like ground sack on your salad? Yes, yes please. When are we going to ever hear that again? Not about a ground sack on your salad, but ground pepper. When is that ever going to happen? Or never? Warranted 14 karat number 4 nib is in it. Whether that was the original nib on this 10-year guarantee fountain pen company pen, I do not know, but I've never heard of this company before. I mean, I must have since I bought it. But I have a feeling that companies like this, if they weren't fly-by-night, they were fly-by the weekend. When everyone else was in church, they were loading up the van, getting out of town. This pen nib is not great. The pen, however, is quite lovely. I like the fact that this is all smooth, meaning there's no ridges or a threads or a bump. It's quite lovely. Let's see what else I have in this drawer. I looked at this one, so I'll put that up there. What's this one? This is a farm. Oh, hold on. The compliments of the Northwestern Electric Equipment Company, St. Paul, Minnesota, 1912. And it's Farm, Stock, and Home is the logo of that company. So this was made by the, whatever it was, electrical company. And whether they actually came together originally, I don't know. This has an Ingersoll nib on it, which doesn't belong on this pen. Charles H. Ingersoll was a pen company. Oh, it's a beautiful nib, though. Wow. Very, very springy. It's surprising. The Charles H. Ingersoll company made watches that they sold for $1 and pens they sold for $1. And the watches worked at least twice a day. And the pens worked relatively, I mean, they worked okay. they had a very funny system of filling. Though this nib is really quite lovely. That's quite a surprise. It's every bit as beautiful and functional as a Waterman nib. It's a little smaller than a Waterman number 2, but it's very springy. So I'll give it that. What's this one? This is a Mottled hard rubber pen. And, oh, there it is. Imperial, it says on it. And the cap says nothing. And the nib says C&D Company, New York. And it has a hole drilled in. Did I drill that hole in? Could I have done that? It has a slit between the tines that doesn't go to the hole, all the way to the hole, and why isn't it working? When a pen does not do this, it usually means one of the iridiums is off. Is that the case on this pen? Yes, that is the case on this pen. This pen is missing half of its iridium. So there's no way that it can deliver the ink to the page. Now what's all of this schmutz on the end of this? Eyedrop filling pen. There's some, I guess those are plier marks. Someone tried to plier it off, but there were little lines on the end of this, little lines that would help hold your finger. That's too bad about that nib. Oh well. Okay, what else haven't I looked at? Did I look at this one already? The Student Pen, patented 1893, Whitewater, Wisconsin. What the heck is this? This drawer might be full of things that I have one of that I have no idea why. Well, I do have an idea why I only have one of them, because maybe they made 2 in the world before they went under. This has a Frawley nib, and Frawley nibs are generally very good. They made dip pen nibs during the olden days, and I think I do have some Frawley pens, so this nib is in there just because it fits. Again, very slender, uninterrupted, plain, basic pen. This cap seems like it's a little too big for the diameter of it. Now, is this a legitimate? No, this looks like it's a marriage. This is chased barrel, and it's also a screw cap. So I would think that it does screw down, but normally they would make the pattern be the same on the top and the bottom. Very flexible nib, though very flimsy, so I think I won't even try that one. This one is a pen that has a G on it. Is this a gem pen? Seems to me I have more than one of these. No, the Goldman Pen Company. Something. Cleveland, Ohio. Something land, and I can see that it says Cleveland. Does this have the right nib in it? No, this does. This does have the correct nib in it. Well, so what do you know? The Goldman pen. Never heard of it. Well, I must have heard of it because I own it. I must have looked at it. It has a G on the clip, a lever. It has a G on the clip, screw cap. Its iridium is almost gone, so that's why it makes so much racket. What is this one? Royal, it says on it, in big letters. 14K. Pat applied. Royal. Well, I'll just dip it in and see. Well, you heard that noise. Play it again. It just broke. The nib just broke. And it didn't break at the top. Oh my God, look at this. I know, let's make the nib as cheap as we possibly can. The part that they don't see, let's just drill a bunch of holes in it and then get the dust and make another nib. God, this is just astoundingly awful. And I'm laughing. I broke a pen and I'm laughing because it's just awful. Did I actually break it? Yep, I did break it. Well, this company deserves to be taken in front of the Senate. I have to post this online as an attempt of defrauding the public. Look at that. Swiss cheese. Stupid pen. Okay, put that back in. Set that there. There are ways, let me tell you, there are ways that people made cheap pens cheap. And that's a new one on me. Yes, they can make the nibs really, really tiny, but they could still work. They can, what else can they do? Put gold wash on top of a steel nib and sell it as a gold nib and screw you, but anyway, let's see what this is. The William H. Hoskins something, P.H. something, a Philadelphia. So William H. Hodgkins Phila, it says. Now that might be the company that bought these pens, or the company, that bought Brand X pens and gave these out to their customers or their employers, employees, or whatever. Gave them at Christmas. It has a overfeed. It looks like a legitimate pen company, and I think this does belong in a different drawer. Whether it's a Wirt or something I don't remember, swan even. It almost looks like a swan. We'll put that aside because I think this does belong somewhere else. Every once in a while, a pen like Swan or Waterman or whatever could make a bunch of pens, usually cheaper than they normally would, by putting a slightly smaller nib in it, or don't having a little band on the cap lip and things like that. And they'll sell them for less money in bulk to some company that wants to give them away. Not generally sell them, I wouldn't think, though sometimes they do that. They don't want to make a competitor for them. But what does this one say? Remex. Is it a Remex pen? Remex, yes. 1896. Let's see if I break this one. Cannot believe that one. This is a nice sort of springy, fine nib, nothing great. I used to buy any pen that has a gold nib, and these might have been ones that I bought at pen shows. I saw they had a gold nib, and I just bought it without really thinking. You know, I knew that they'd probably be good for something. Oh dear, what's this thing? Oh, this is really cool. Okay. I don't have a cap for it. I may have another one of these in a different drawer. This is the Betzler & Wilson's self-filler. Okay, to get around all these, it has the correct nib on it. To get around a patent, you know, the lever was patented, the crescent filler was patented, and even if it wasn't patented, who would want to copy that thing? So you unscrew this, put that over there so you don't lose it. You pull this out, and then what do you do with it? Then you do this. Pull that out. It's like a safety razor, right? You do that, and then you do this. And if I remember correctly, the sack that was originally in here, which I don't have anymore because it was hard and it just disintegrated, was like an accordion. It was like an accordion. A little rubber accordion. So it was shaped. Okay, here's a pen. It was shaped like this. Okay, let's find a pen that actually works. I suppose I could use the pen I'm holding in my left hand. It was shaped like this. And you take that lever out and that switchblade, and what that did is made it longer, so you could push it down further, and this would all get scrunched up. And then you'd pull it out, and then it would suck in the ink, and then you'd retract the knife part and put it back, and then you would write your letter. That's pretty cool. Now this nib looks a lot smaller for this pen than it should be. Now, did they make a quality nib? Their sack probably cost more to produce than the whole damn pen. That's pretty cool. Okay. I think I may have another one of those. Okay, here is an over and under feed, which is missing its nib. The Spiral Pen, Blackpool. Okay, so it's British made. This is another slide filler or sleeve filler, whatever they call these things. Pressure filler. And the back is chipped for some reason. What kind of nib does this have? Warranted. It looks like it's going to be, it's a little bent, this nib, so it may not be all that great. It's kind of a stub nib. Okay. So why did I put that there for that reason. Okay. This, the Evra pen, EVRDA pen, Chicago. Evrida. Every day, is that what it's supposed to be? The EVRDA? Is that supposed to be every day? Oh God, can you do better than that? The everyday pen. I use my pen every day because I have an everyday pen. Fly by night. This has nothing on it. 14 karat warranted. Number 5 nib. Not even going to try that one. The Dispatch, and that's in, is that in quotes? Yeah, the isn't, but Dispatch is in quotes, number 2. That's all I know about this pen. Let's hope the nib says the Dispatch just for fun. No, it says 14K. The K is really big. The 14 is kind of small. Okay, what's this one? It's cute. Pretty little pen. There was a pen collector who was from the South, and he would say, oh, that's a pretty little pen. This is a Victor pen. Well, I've got a drawer full of these somewhere else. The Victor pen. Now, I don't know if Victor pens made pens that were used in World War I by the soldiers. So I wonder if that was why they named it that, the Victor pen, because we wanted to be victorious. Is that how that worked? What's this one? Chandler and Company. Again, it doesn't say a city where this was made, so this could have been made by brand X for, this looks kind of like a pick pen. They have this wasp-waisted section. So this could have been made by the pick pen in Ohio for the Chandler Company. What do we have here? The Ward, and that's all in quotes. The and the word Ward are both the words are in quotes. And what's wrong with this pen? This is another, that doesn't fit. Well, I think it's the wrong cap. But here's a way where someone made the nib tiny, not by drilling holes in it, but by just sculpting it that way. And that is a correct way to, now how do I put it back? No. Yes. This is a better way to do it, and now I can't get it back in. There, it's back in. So this is an overfeed. So this might be another swan or wort. God, my brain is just completely going. I used to know so much. Well, I don't want to say that. I used to know these factoids, some of these factoids, and now I don't. It's very delicate. I feel like I'm going to break it any second. Okay, but I think that belongs in another drawer. What do we have here? The Cadet. I do have another Cadet, but it's later on. It's a plastic pen, so this belongs in a different drawer, I think. Really nice feeling nib. It feels very strong. Yeah, that's a quality pen. I think that belongs in a different drawer, unless this is a Cadet as well. This is, it does have something on it. The Autograph fountain pen. The nib looks like it belongs to an Ingersoll or Eclipse or something. It's the one that has the 14K and a sort of shield thing. I forget what company that is right now. So the Autograph fountain pen. Okay, what do we have here? Ooh, that has sort of a sweet little section. The what? WM Bulls, Bulles, fountain pen. And it has Toledo, Ohio. And it has some sort of design on it that I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be. Patented 1907. Unbreakable. Oh. And that's not in quotes. So it is no. Yeah. It looks like it says unleakable. Unleakable. It's an unleakable pen. Now, why is it unleakable, you ask? Well, this is a little longer than this little bit might provide less stuff from dribbling out by accident. Oh, well, the nib is the name of the company, so William Bowles, Bolles, 14 karat Toledo. I think it's missing its iridium. Yes, it's missing its iridium. But it's nice, it's a stub nib. That's neat here too. This might be another little device that they made it seem like it would be unleakable, like this extra little shelf that would go up to the inner cap and hold it tightly, maybe. And here is another, oh, no, this is another, I have a number of these where it comes in half like this, and you fill this with an eyedropper, but it has this long extra bit that I think is meant to keep it from leaking. And it wouldn't leak up here where a normal eyedrop filler is. It would leak over here. If it did leak, it would leak there. Another stub nib. Wow, it's a really nice one. Who made this thing? Oh, the Rexall Pen. The Rexall Pen. It looks like it was made for the Rexall stores. So that's probably have more of those kicking around. This is part of a Jiffy pen, they were called. I have some of these. I bought a store that had a bunch of these. Was part of the stock I bought, so I have a bunch of these, or did. And they came with this little chatelaine that you would hook to your lapel or your dress or something, and this would dangle down like one of those pendulums. And they had this one had a nice filling system where you pull that out, sort of like that other one I showed you, and you would pull that down, and then that pushes the sack, and you close it up. So it's like that accordion sack thing. It has that extra dog leg in it. And where were these made? Jiffy. General manufacturer, Snapfill. The Sioux City Snapfill pen. Snapfill. But I think they were called Jiffy. Weren't they called Jiffy? Someone has to. Maybe Jiffy pens were. This is a same look. This rounded top with the ring and the thing on the back. Yeah, Jiffy Pen Company, Sioux City. So made by the same people. Does this have a Jiffy? Oops, I'm trying to clear off the grime and all nib comes out. Warranted. Okay, let's look at this one. This has the original price sticker still on it. I know that makes some people excited. Solid gold. Fine. Sold them for $1. $4. Short, number 3, short. SB, fine. 14 karat. Solid gold. Well. Oh, so much for that nib. Okay, so that unscrews there. This is probably another one of those pump things. So you suck. Okay, just put it back here. Don't break it any further than you did. So that would have been held onto like a syringe thing. So that's how they filled. And as you can tell, Jiffy Pen Company, 1919. Oh, that's also, that band is 14 karat solid gold. Well, I'm done with this drawer. Did you have fun? Was it good for you? There are some nice pens in here. There are a lot of pens that are not very interesting, but you know, they're pens probably that if I brought to a pen show, no one would even look at. So I'm keeping them just for fun. And many of them, as you saw, have nibs that are pretty uninteresting or, in fact, crappy. So I would not want to sell this pen to someone thinking that they could use it. I mean, there might be someone that collects Jiffy pens, and they might want to buy all of those from me. There was one guy in Minnesota that had a great collection of Jiffy pens. Wow. He was one of those people, though, if I remember correctly, that would only buy a pen if it was $1 or less. So he wasn't really a pen collector, he was a bargain collector. And I've known a lot of people like that. They will only buy a pen if they could get it cheaply, and when they would describe it to me, they'd show me this pen, they'd say, I bought this pen for, you know, they show me a pen that is worth $500, and they'll say, let me show you what I got, and they drag this thing out of their pocket and they show it to me, and it's a rare $500 pen, and I got it in an antique shop for $5. The lady wanted 10. The lady didn't know what she had. Well, did you let her know what she had? Madam, this pen is worth $500. And, you know, she might have said, no, I'm not going to take $10 for this, not knowing that it's worth $500, but she might say no. And then he'd walk around the thing and pretend to be interested in other things, like how much, you know, this rug is beautiful, this $500 rug. That would look lovely in my house. And he goes around pointing to other things he knows he's not going to buy, but she thinks that, you know, he's a big spender. And then he goes back to that pen and, you take $5 for this? And then she says yes, thinking that he's going to add that to his pile of other stuff that he's not going to buy. Or other people, the ones I really hate even more, I think, is someone will pick up a pen like this at a pen show, and they'll put it down. I'll tell, you know, it's $50 or whatever the price is, and he'll put it down, and then he'll come back in maybe 5 minutes. Not at the end of the day, but 5 minutes later. How much is this again? And I'll tell him. And then he'll point out all of the flaws. Oh, it has a scratch here. It has a tooth mark there. It's a little scratchy. And then they'll and I'll say, well, I wouldn't want you to have a pen of that inferior quality in your collection. I'm sure, or I'll say, oh, I saw a pen just like that at John Smith's table over there. Oh yeah, but he wants too much. Well, then here it is, $50. Or you can buy the one that doesn't have the tooth mark on it for $500 over at Joe Smith's table. Don't get me started. I'll tell you one story though, one story that I think is quite funny. And when I ran a pen show and I had to decide how the room was going to be set up, and everyone of course will not like where I put them, but I try to make everyone happy. And I know some people want to sit next to someone else, and some people like they want to have, you know, I know from experience that they are very busy because they, you know, might be selling ink. Like Nathan Tardif, I know he's going to be selling gallons of ink to people, so I made sure that his table was in a location that had a lot of room around it for people to wait in line to buy his ink, and it wouldn't be blocking other tables. So I'm very concerned about this. I try to be a good host. And so anyway, one guy who was at the pen show the year earlier had said, Pierre, I want a better location than I had last year. And I thought back in my memory banks to try to remember where he was. And I said, oh, you were in the corner over there, right? Yes, he said. And I said, well, you were next to Dick Johnson, and he had people around him the entire time. And the guy said, well, that's because his pens are priced reasonably. And that came out of his pie hole. That's what he said out loud to me, and didn't understand why he didn't sell very many pens, because his pens were not priced reasonably. That same guy, I have to tell you this, I have to draw this out because this is another funny, I think it's a funny story. Again, I was running a pen show, and it was a many day long pen show, and there was a room. The one big room, the big ballroom was back here, but you had to go through an oval room to begin with. So the people in this room would see the customers first, and most people wanted to be in that room. But this was the room that had more tables set up in it, and it was a huge big room, which I also instructed the people that ran the show, or that ran the hotel, to extend this little divider out. It was a thing here. So there were windows here. It was very well lit. This didn't have any outside windows, but it was very well lit. It had all sorts of mirrors around the whole thing, or on most of the thing. The mirrors were maybe 6 places, and there were room for 12 tables, and also a table right there. But anyway, so I put these things out to make it not be a boring rectangular room. So I had tables set up like this. These were at an angle, and I had this as a trapezoid and this as sort of a house shape. So there was this sort of figure 8 thing, rather than going up and down long lines of tables that are just lined up in a row. I made it interesting, I thought. And people loved it. People absolutely loved this, and they loved this. But anyway, so this was the setup of the table. So zoom in on this oval room. And the Saturday day was not open to the public. It was just open to the people that were in the room. And this same guy that was stuck next to the table where the guy had his pens priced reasonably wanted to be in a special table. And I had him here. That was going to be his table. And there are other tables, going around like this. And perhaps the table right here might have been considered the very best table in the entire place, and I didn't put anyone there. I put a display and a flower arrangement, and I made it look pretty. Because if I put anyone there, everyone would complain. So I fixed that. So anyway, I'm sitting out here checking people in as they come in, and I told people that they can sit anywhere that isn't. This was a day that was sort of open for everyone, I think, if I remember correctly. And I don't, it's all a blur right now, but anyway, I'll get to the point of the story at some point. You'll just have to bear with me. So I had reserved this spot for this dealer, and it was a very nice spot, and maybe it was that he was there the day before and he wanted to have that same table, and I said, fine, I'll make sure you get that one. Well, so I put my hat, I had a hat, and I put it there on the table to reserve it for him. And I told people as they were bringing their pens in to set up that they could sit anywhere that didn't have a hat on it, I guess. Maybe that was it. So that was the reserved thing. Any open table, I might have said that. Well, I had gone in there for some reason and sort of forgot about this, and I took my hat and brought it out here, and I was rudely wearing a hat indoors, but I thought it was sort of a nice fedora, so I had it out here, letting people in. And this other pen dealer came in, and I said, you can set up anywhere that there is open, and she went right there and set up at that table. And I walked in, I sort of forgot about it, and I walked in and saw that she had set up her entire table in like a minute and a half, and to have her move would have been dramatic. So this guy came in, and I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I gave your table to someone else. And he oh, this is discrimination and blah, blah, blah. And I, oh, please, 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 please. So I put him over here. It was essentially a round room. How is this table better than that one or this one? This table was empty, and I put it right there, and it was in front of a mirror. Just want you to know that. So a friend of mine came in, and I said, because this guy was complaining to everyone else about how I was discriminating against him or something, I don't know what all. Yes, I was forgetful. I'm sorry. I broke my promise, but I had other things to do. And anyway, this guy came in, and I said, go into the room and go 3 tables to your right and pay a lot of attention to the pens, say how nice they are, and really say that you've got a great table, what a great location you are, right here at the beginning, and blah, blah, just butter them up. And my friend also said, and the mirror behind you, it's great because it looks like you have twice as much stuff. And this guy came, the discriminated against person came out a few minutes later, and he came over to me and he put his hand on my hand. He said, Pierre, I love that table. Just keep me there tomorrow. I said, okay, fine. Sigh of relief. Anyway, when you run a pen show, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is when you run a pen show, it's never, you can never do it perfectly. You can think about 25 things that you're doing that you think is going to be fair for everyone, and there's a 26th thing that you're going to forget about. But I don't even know how I began this conversation. Is there anything that reminds me here why I went on that diatribe? I'm looking over here to my pens over there. Who knows? Oh, it just has to do with pen show behavior, I guess, and how customers, will not want to buy your pen because there's a nicer looking one over there. Well, buy the other one then. Oh, it's more money. Okay, well, then don't buy it. You can buy mine. Or even collectors, other dealers will come over to my table and say, why are you selling this pen for so much? And I'll say, well, what do you sell yours for? Oh, let's say it's 20% less. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll come over and I'll buy it. Oh, I don't have any. Oh, okay, so you don't have any. Don't get me started. I'm already started. But the other thing is, let me just say this. For many people, this is supposed to be a hobby. It's not supposed to be a business. You collect stamps not because you write letters, but because you like these little tiny pictures that are engraved, and they're worth something, I guess. You collect pens. If people collect things, it's a hobby. You're supposed to spend money on it. If you're in business, that's a different story. But if you're a pen collector, it doesn't mean you have to spend all the money in the world on it, but don't pretend that this is, a necessity. This is milk for your children. This is a luxury item. So don't give me this bit about that somehow you deserve it for less because you've got children to feed. That was your choice, having children. You shouldn't buy any pens if they're hungry. I don't know. You're getting me started. Look at me. I'm covered with ink. Okay. Calm, pure, calm. Let's pretend, think happy thoughts. I haven't come up with a happy thought yet. I'm trying really hard. Okay, I'll show you something I did yesterday that was kind of interesting. These are paint swatches, catalog from Benjamin Moore, and I took my fountain pens out and I did drawings using this paper and water-soluble ink, which it just sat on the surface. It did not get soaked in or anything. So I was having fun with and I added water here to get this effect. I had fun learning how to draw on a piece of paper that wasn't really meant for that. And it was really kind of neat. And I don't know about you, but when I learn things, I'm generally happy. No, when I stick my hand on a hot burner and learn that it's hot, that's not fun. But if I'm trying out a new medium or a new pen or a new color ink, those are sort of maybe understandable results that will happen. But if you try something that maybe is a more mysterious, a bigger mystery, like is this even going to work? And it might not work, it might fail, but most people would have said, Pierre, this is stupid, this isn't the right paper. But I'm thinking, okay, what can I do with this limitation? What can I do writing a piano piece that only uses the black keys? It's a limitation, but you might find it fun. So for you with pens, what could you do what exercise could you do? I'll tell you a couple that are fun, actually, come to think of it. Let's say you just want to write, and you're not a calligrapher, but you just enjoy writing, and you write pretty well, and you make your R's like this. That's a perfectly good R. There's nothing wrong with it. What if you wrote the R backwards? This is kind of a very interesting exercise, because you sort of learn a different kind of control. Your arm is moving differently than it normally does. And sometimes the thick and thins are going to be at different locations than they were when you do it this way. The downstrokes are going to be different. And the R maybe isn't a good example, but a B, I've done enough B's that are like that, where the two bowls are done backwards, rather than from the top down, they're from the bottom up. And because I know how to do this a lot, it's easy for me to do that. And it isn't easy for me to do the R that way because I haven't tried that before, but I'm trying it now, and it's kind of fun. And it's not necessarily a limitation, but thinking outside the box. Another thing that you can do to sort of see how your pens can write is changing the scale of your letters. So if you write normally like this, where you're using your fingers, maybe by writing twice as large, where you're moving your whole hand and maybe even your whole arm, you're going to find yourself learning new ways to make letters and learning new ways to write. And maybe your handwriting will become more legible when you write it larger. Maybe if you write large and you are forced to write really small, maybe that would be a different kind of an exercise. Maybe by writing small you will feel a little constrained, I imagine, but you might also feel more focused. Maybe the words you choose while you're writing small might be more exact than the words you use if you're writing larger. This scale might make you think differently than writing this way. Or I might be just full of it. What I'm telling you might be a complete and utter fantasy, and it won't make any difference whatsoever. But I bet it will. Even if it's just after you try it for a while, don't try it just once. Try it for a day or a page of lettering. You might say, Pierre, that was a waste of 25 minutes of my life, but I now know that when you go back to your normal way of writing, you'll say, this is, in fact, the best method for me. Well, almost an hour I spent. Time to say goodbye. Goodbye.